Hey, it's Cobra here at MaddenGuides.com, and for this Madden NFL 23 defensive plays video breakdown, I'm going to take a look at a four-man pass rush that gets A-gap pressure on the quarterback. And this one's pretty nice. It's kind of a continuation of some of the other defenses that I've shown so far out of the 46 normal. The few I've shown already are mainly just been man. I've had a couple requests for some zone defenses, so I wanted to show you how to get some inside pressure. In this case, it's going to end up coming from the free safety, and you're going to see it here as we go through the video breakdown and show you how to set this one up. So let's go ahead and just take a look at the play diagram right here. There it is. It is the 46 normal. Cover 2 invert is the defense that we're going to use. And then the playbooks you'll find this one out of the 46, the Bengals, and the Eagles defensive playbooks. For the breakdown, we're going to go ahead and use the 46 playbook. Here's what the 46 normal cover 2 invert looks like without making any pre-snap adjustments. And as you can see on your screen here, you're going to have two defenders, and you're going to be the two corners that are going to be dropping back into the deep zones. That's where you get the invert at. So they're dropping back instead of playing the flats. And then you're going to find that you're going to have two defenders. In this case, it's going to be this guy right here, and it's also going to be this guy over here. Now, I want you guys to understand something. For you guys who have been following me along with this 46 normal defenses I've been showing over the last few weeks, I'm setting this up in the nickel package. So I'm using the speed package, and I would suggest going back and look at the video breakdown where I talk about where I make these subs at, just if you're following along. So just keep in mind what I've got here is I've actually got a nickel back lined up right there, lined up in that spot right there. Rather, normally in the speed package, you would normally have two dime backs lined up. In my case, I put Parsons over here with the Cowboys because there's certain blitzes I like to run from the 46 normal where I like to utilize him there. So just keep that in mind. If you can go back and look at some of those breakdowns I've been doing with the 46 normal, I suggest going back and look at those videos. At any rate, that's what the defense looks like, as you can see on your screen. And then the other thing you'll notice here, we only got a four-man pass rush. Now, I'm not going to get the four-man pass rush from these guys. I'm going to bring a defender in who's going to get some A-gap pressure, which actually is going to end up being the free safety. And again, he's lined up right here. If you look at him, he's in a mid-read. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set this up for you guys and show you how to run this one the way I like to run it. So the first thing is I'm going to go ahead and slant the defensive line out. You can see right on your screen, it's right there. They're slanted out. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring him down into the box at this point. Now, this next step is optional. I like to go ahead and do QB contain with this particular setup, mainly because I don't want the quarterback trying to roll out of here. So, for example, maybe he'd be trying to roll out towards this direction here or something like that, or he tries to go the other direction. Then I'm going to end up having these two guys on the outside, these two ends, where they can go ahead and defend that and prevent him from rolling out. So that's the reason that I'm going to do that with the setup. All right, let's go ahead and run this. Now with me, I realize if you're playing online, or if when you're playing online, you can do what I'm about to do, and that's to hold down the right trigger. I like to hold down the right trigger before the snap. And as soon as that ball snapped, I'm going to wait just a split second, and then I'm going to come after the quarterback, and then I'm going to come right up to that A gap and apply that pressure. So that's what you're going to end up seeing here as I run this. So let's just go ahead and run it, and then we'll go into instant replay and we'll talk about it a little bit more. And then, now you'll notice right now at this point, we've got 5 defenders rushing the quarterback. After I get done with showing you guys this, we'll go into it where I'll show you how to get 4 guys rushing the quarterback, and you can still get the same type of pressure. So let's go ahead and run this real quick here, and then we're just going to come up through that A gap and apply the pressure. So let's go ahead and take a look at this real quick, and I'll show you how this works in instant replay so you kind of get an idea of what this is all about. The main thing that you're really looking for here is going to be this offensive lineman, which is the center. You need to see what he does. In most cases, he's going to go ahead and look to block. I'm going to go ahead and go this direction here. He's going to look to block in this direction over here. As long as he's looking to block in that direction, and you see that, that's when you'll be able to go ahead and manually blitz this guy right up to the A gap and apply that pressure, such as what I just did. That's the key to this, to making this work. So let's go ahead and show you again right there. See how he slides over? And if you got a fast enough defender, which I do with Joseph, he's actually a corner that I got lined up at the safety position. I think he's like 93 speed. So I would suggest having as fast as defender you can lined up there at that position. That way you can get that pressure on the quarterback. But right there, you can see I'm able to get through that gap right there. and get in there. And the other thing you look at over here, as you're looking at it, you can see that this right guard right here, he pulls over to the right as well, which helps me out as far as opening up that gap. So that's another thing you got to watch for. But generally, he will pull over to that direction there and allow you to get that inside pressure right there. So that's it right there as far as that setup goes and how easy it is. I'll just go through it one more time. You're just going to go ahead and slant the defensive line out. Simply go up here with this guy right here, bring him up. You can do all this at the same time and call QB contain. That's really the setup for the most part. And just hold down that right trigger. Just wait to see what that guy does. And then you should be able to get pressure on the quarterback like that. So that's pretty much it as far as getting the 5-man pass rush that I'm showing here. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you how to get a 4-man pass rush with this particular defense. Now that I showed how to go ahead and get a 5-man pass rush with the 46 normal cover 2 invert, now I want to show you how to do it with a 4-man pass rush. And it's pretty much the same setup with one adjustment that we got to make. And this takes a little bit longer to set up, but you can still do it pretty quick. So let's go ahead and do it here. So again, we're going to go ahead and slant the defensive line out. We're going to take control of this safety here. We're going to go ahead and bring him down to box. Now I'm going to have to release him just for a second. Now, don't forget, if you want to use the advanced way and not have to control this guy, which is this strong side defensive tackle, you need to put him into a bluff blitz. I'm going to go ahead and control him for now and then switch off of him and back to this guy right here. So either way you can do it, that's up to you. And then the next thing is you want to go ahead and call QB contain, and then I'm going to bring him up into this area here. Now, I feel like when he's lined up, head up over the right guard, this gives you a better chance of this setup than he would if he was lined up in between the center and the right guard. So I would highly suggest just moving him a little bit further over to the right. So that's the defense right there as you look at your screen right there in the setup. Now what I'm going to do is do the same thing I did earlier. I want to go ahead and hold down this right trigger as you're looking at your screen. So I'm going to go ahead and hold down the right trigger to get this to work before it snaps. So let's go ahead and do this, and I'll show you how to get this A-gap pressure here. And you're just going to come up the gut and apply the pressure on the quarterback. Now, the one thing you got to watch for is that center, because on occasion, I'm going to go ahead and go in instant replay here. On occasion, this center may end up looking to block you. Even though you think you got it, he may come back real quick and block you. So that's the one thing you got to watch for. So he may slide over like this. He may look to block that way, but then he'll come back and block you. So just watch for that. If that were to happen, if he does make a block on you and decides to do that, and you engage him, you have two choices. You continue to try to go ahead and rush, or you can just drop back and try to go ahead and defend the short to middle of the field as fast as you can. You'll have to bail on that. That's really up to you with this setup I'm showing here. But again, you can see we get the pressure there. Now you notice how that was slightly delayed from what I did earlier. That's because I got to make sure that center goes over. As long as he goes over, then I can do that. And then the other thing is, you look at this, again, this right guard, even though this strong side defensive tackle isn't actually rushing, remember, we put him into a bluff blitz, he's going to drop, he still engages the right guard, at least initially to occupy him. See how he's occupying him, at least initially? As long as he does that, then this is going to work as well. So you got to watch that as well. Those are the two things that really make a difference, is this is going to work as far as bringing that pressure on the quarterback with this particular setup. Now, the last thing I want to point out, because I'm going to go into a couple other plays from the same offensive formation from the gun trips tied in that I want to show. You'll notice in every one of these, in this whole video breakdown so far, the running back has gone out. So now what I want to do is I want to talk about if the running back runs a delayed route or if he stays in the pass block. So we're going to go into that next, and I want to show you what happens in those two situations. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you what will happen if the running back runs an option route, such as out of the gun trips tied in verticals. And you'll notice right here as you look at your screen, it's going to be the running back right here. He runs this delayed curl route out of the backfield. And even with him doing that, you should still be able to get the pressure on the quarterback with basically the same setup. So let's go ahead and do that right here as you look at it. And we'll go ahead and slant the defensive line out, bring this guy up into the box, such as what I've been showing before. And you're just going to go ahead and hold down that right trigger. And the only thing I didn't do there was go ahead and put him in QB contain, but you can see I still got the same pressure. So again, you don't have to do QB contain. I just prefer to do that. Let's go ahead and do QB contain this time and do the same setup that I just showed. Now, this is that 5-man pass rush version that I showed of this blitz. And let's just go ahead and do the same thing here. and you're just looking to get in here and get the pressure on the quarterback, such as what you see on the screen. Now, the same thing works with the 4-man pass rush. You should still be able to get the pressure. Might be not always as consistent, but you should still be able to go ahead and get it. So let's go ahead and put him in a bluff blitz. That's the strong side defensive tackle. Bring this guy up into the gap right here, and then we'll just go ahead and rush the quarterback and do the same thing here. And you're just going to try to come up that gap and get the pressure on the quarterback. So you should still be able to get the pressure on the quarterback pretty consistently most of the time, even with a 4-man pass rush. But like I said, you may get blocked on occasion, so just keep that in mind. Now what I want to do is go into one other play here that's going to have the running back staying in the pass block. Here's a play out of the gun trips tied in. It's called deep end. Now this particular play, as you look at your screen, you're going to notice that the running back is in fact staying in the pass block. And what I want to point out here, with him staying in the pass block, that takes him out of the equation as far as going out on the pass route. So that means your opponent now only has 4 eligible receivers going out, versus, say that we go ahead and set this up with the 5-man pass rush that I've been doing here rather than the 4-man pass rush. You're still, as you look at your screen here, you're still going to have 6 defenders dropping back versus his 4 receivers. So you've taken one of his eligible receivers out of the equation as far as a pass route, limiting what he can do. Now, the running back may pick you up, maybe the center may pick you up, but at least you've taken him out of the equation. Now, what I like to do is I'm going to watch and see if that running back stays in the pass block. If that running back stays in the pass block, a lot of times what I like to do is bail out and drop back into some type of coverage, usually back into the middle to deep zone as fast as I can haul butt back into the area. So let's go ahead and run this, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So we're going to be watching before the ball is snapped. What I've got to do from my standpoint is I've got to be watching to see what this running back does. I need to know what he's going to do. If he stays in the pass block, then I probably ain't going to rush. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. I see him doing that. Then I'm just going to haul him back and try to take that deep route away. You can see that deep middle route right there. I was going to try to take that away from him as best I can. Now I'm hoping that one of my other guys can finally get in and get to him. As you can see right there, unfortunately, none of my guys got in there very quick, but that's what I'm hoping on. I'm hoping one of my defensive linemen can get pressure on the quarterback when I bail out. Now, the other option would be, let's go ahead and run this one more time here. You can go ahead and rush the quarterback, and the cool thing about that would be if the running back steps up to pass block you, that takes him out of the picture as far as blocking anybody else. For example, maybe you got an X factor lined up right here. Maybe you got some really good stud lined up right there. Once he gets past that left tackle, then he can go after the quarterback and get pressure, because the running back, remember, will step up the pass block into this area here and take me out, allowing that other defender to go ahead and get pressure on the quarterback. So let's go ahead and run this, and I'll do it this time where I rush the quarterback this time. Or excuse me, I rush with this guy. I get blocked, but see what happens right there. Somebody else still got pressure on the quarterback because the running back had to step up and block me, taking him out as far as his pass blocking. Yeah, sure, he picks me up, but then I get some outside pressure on the quarterback, which is nice. So I want to point that out to you. That's something else you got to take a look at. The other thing is, you look at this, is I go ahead and I'm just going to reset this, bring this guy down. The cool thing on the offensive side of things, your opponent, as he goes ahead and tries to do double team. So say he does double team right here, he cannot block that safety. No matter what he does, there's no way he can double team him, as you look at your screen right here. So this guy is always going to get in without being blocked. He cannot double team him. He has to put somebody in to stay in the pass block to take that away in most cases. So I just wanted to point that out to you. When you run this, you basically don't think that, hey, just because you didn't get the pressure, that you didn't make something happen on the defensive side of things. Now, one other thing I want to point out here is, I don't know if I would recommend running this defense outside of, maybe wait till they get inside the 20-yard line, because if they get inside the 20-yard line here, then you can go ahead and not worry about it so much. Say it's at the 17-yard line. As you look at it, the cool thing about this would be is that now when you look at the back of the end zone, you have this as an extra defender. The whole back of the end zone is an extra defender here. So you wouldn't have to necessarily worry about them throwing over the top. against this particular play that I'm showing here, this post play, or excuse me, this deep end play here, as you noticed probably early as you're watching it, this receiver here, which is the B receiver, it's the slot receiver, he's been open over the deep middle. If I didn't get home, a lot of times he's going to be there where my opponent could just make that throw deep down the field and complete it. So that's the downside of this. So you may not want to run this until they get inside the 20. I just want to point that out to you. On the other hand, if you can get in pretty quick and get to him before he throws that ball off, then you'll have an opportunity for a sack. So I just want to point that out. One last thing I want to go ahead and close off with this is when you run this defense, let's go ahead and run it one more time here with just the 5-man pass rush, but let's go ahead and run it against the, let's start off with the play we started off with, which is going to be this Y post. I want to point out one last thing here as I run this. I think this is kind of important, is that something that you have to watch out for is this safety. When you bring him down, rather than be the safety or a corner, such as I got the corner lined up here, when he comes after the quarterback, such as what I'm doing here on the screen, he may not make the tackle, such as what you see there. And that's the downside of running these type of defenses, is that the safety or the corner may not always make the sack. They may get shredded off. Fortunately for me, I had another defender break free. See how he was able to get out of the initial sack right there? But then that guy comes in and makes the sack. So that's the one thing you got to watch for when you run this, that there's going to be some times where even though you got the pressure on the quarterback, you got home, for some reason that defender doesn't make the tackle. So just keep that in mind. So at any rate, guys, I hope this is a defense from the 46 normal. I've had some requests for some zone defenses as far as blitz setup, so I thought I'd show this one. I think this one's pretty effective for the most part. Just be careful with it when you use it, and like any other defense, mix and match with other defenses and try to keep your coverages and your setups kind of looking the same as best you can, and just try to confuse your opponent as best you can.